Farming is a huge part of Iowa. We've produced the most corn for 14 years in a row. We're the top producer of pork and soybeans. The average Iowa farmer feeds 155 people, but he can't do it all on his own. 90% of farms are still family-owned and operated, meaning that every member of the family helps out and does his or her part to keep it running smoothly. Nearly 2 million kids work on farms, either for hire or for their own families every single year. We have young kids working out on these farms, risking injury or death. In fact, their risk of fatality was 4.4 times higher than kids working in jobs like retail or food service. Hospitalization rates is 10 times higher for kids in agriculturally related vocations. In fact, there were a total of 260 fatalities in the ag industry in 2011. One of the most dangerous jobs on the farm is working in and around grain bins. Tommy Ozier of Sterling, Michigan was 18 when he died. He was scraping cake corn off the sides of a grain bin as a coworker was shoveling out at the bottom. The corn below and on the ceiling above gave way and he was entrapped. It took rescue crews almost 4 hours to get him out of the bin. He died from suffocation and there were corn kernels in his lungs. This is just one of the many examples of showing how dangerous farming really is.
President Obama and the Department of Labor looked at these alarming statistics and prepared a proposal which would prohibit the number of things kids can do on farms. The regulations, if implemented, wouldn't have let kids work on their grandparents', aunts, uncles, or any non-immediate family member's farm. Even then, they would still be limited on what they could do. A couple of examples: working in a pen with animals, operating a tractor with a 20 PTO horsepower, and using a ladder or scaffolding over 6 feet. Because there isn't much handwork done on the farm anymore, and most kids use tractors now, this would have a detrimental effect on what these kids could do. We spoke with 2 families who have farms of their own. Bernard Fisher and his son Kyle work on their family farm. Kyle is 18 years old, so the rules wouldn't affect him, but they give some insight on the proposal and how hard it would hit families like theirs. Troy Nielsen, a local farmer, has 2 children of his own, but also hires local teens to work for him. The proposal would have really limited his own operation. Both families and farmhands give their thoughts on the farm regulation proposal.
So, in a lot of ways, the proposals would hurt the very kids you're trying to keep safe because they've lost all their opportunity to have work experience and grow up with training on the farm. And I think that would be one of the negative effects of regulation. Regulation, while it sounds like a good idea to protect the kids, you have to weigh the cost of the regulation against the benefits of the regulation.
How have you trained your farm hands to be safe if they've never worked on a farm before?
Well, we just go through and explain the duties of what's required, and if they got any questions, then we go through those questions so that no mistakes happen and no injuries happen.
All right, so how long have you worked for the Nielsens?
I've been helping here since my sophomore year, so I don't know, about 1.5 years now, just off and on whenever they need help.
Probably just a couple months. Started last spring and worked through the summer. So.
And do you think that there needs to be more safety regulations?
I think that you should probably, I don't know if there needs to be a lot more safety regulations. We just need to, communicate with your boss better so you know what you're doing at all times and you don't have to worry about, having any accidents. So, stuff can happen, but if you take precautionary measures, it's less likely to happen.
How do you help out on your family's farm now?
On my family farm now, as I said, I mowed the lawn. I still do sometimes. I work out in the fields. I haul tractors around grain. I cultivate. I move the tractors around. I fix small things. I help with the livestock, as I said, sorting them, moving them from field to field. Just the basic things that a young man on the farm would do.
I had the opportunity to speak with Tom Latham and Steve King about the Obama proposal and a counteract, the Preserving America's Family Farms Act, which was proposed by Tom Latham and passed July 24th. Neither one of them supported President Obama's proposal. Tom Latham told me why he felt the need to introduce a bill like this. He told me that he himself and his 4 brothers grew up on a farm and learned work ethic and skills he was able to use outside of the farm. Steve King shared the same views as he also grew up on a farm and raised his children on it. When asked about what we should do to curtail the hospitalization rates, Tom Latham thought that we should educate the kids about safety and that the parents need to be concerned and teach their children about safety, and strongly believes that kids should be involved in their family farm operation. It's safe to say that both Congressman King and Congressman Latham think that kids should be able to have the opportunity to work on farms and build the values and work ethic that are important to have in the adult world.
The general consensus from farmers and politicians alike is that kids should have the right to work on their family farms. Limiting the kids won't solve anything. We need to educate our kids on what's right and wrong and push them to ask questions when they aren't sure. Take farm safety courses and get certified to use heavy machinery. Being involved is just as important as being safe. This has been Addie Haney reporting for the Shenandoah News Team and PBS Student Reporting Labs.